think Crawford's going to put him away, and I think Canelo's a much better mover than people give him credit for. And I think Crawford will be hit more and hit harder than he's ever been hit before, but I don't think he'll go out or down.
Consistent with Terence Crawford's fight schedule over the last several years, where he's been pretty much fighting one time a year. That one time a year is clearly giving him a lot of time to rest and recover from his injuries.
Boxing experts are pointing to a major flaw in Terence Crawford's latest training footage. Gareth explained that although he first favored Crawford to beat Canelo Alvarez, his opinion has shifted. As the fight approaches, he now leans toward Canelo, predicting Crawford will face punches he has never experienced before. This change highlights the growing doubts about Crawford's ability to handle Canelo's power and survive at the high
early on. Very close rounds in the first 3 or 4. We'll be divided on who's winning. I think Canelo will get going in the second third of the fight and land some big shots. I think Crawford will look good as well. Rounds 6 to 9, we'll be looking at who's getting ascendancy in the fight. Crawford will have weathered the storm of the big Canelo punches, countered himself, still close rounds. I think Canelo will push away and, in my view, will win the fight. Because I don't think Crawford's going to put him away, and I think Canelo's a much better mover than people give him credit for, and I think Crawford will be hit more and hit harder than he's ever been hit before, but I don't think he'll go out or down, and if he does go down, he'll get up. I think it'll be a very, very close affair, and I think even if in those last 6 rounds Crawford's got Canelo's number in terms of movement and timing, I still think if it's very close in rounds, I think it'll either be a draw or a narrow points decision for Saul Canelo Alvarez that everybody feels is very controversial, and then they'll do it again. That's how I see it playing, and that's the plot, if you like, with the subplots in the drama of one of the biggest fights we've seen in Vegas since.
Gennady Golovkin's trainer has given a sharp prediction that Terence Crawford may not be able to maintain his stamina at the higher weight class. He believes that Crawford could begin to struggle as early as the 4th round. The main reason for this is the sudden change in body size and the added muscle mass, which might slow him down. Since Crawford has never fought at this particular weight before, the trainer argues that the adjustments required are immense. Carrying more weight than usual can make even the most skilled fighter feel heavy, drain energy quickly, and lead to early frustration. If Crawford fails to control his pacing under these conditions, he could burn himself out before reaching the middle rounds.
Triple G's former trainer said that Crawford's gonna be quick in the first 4 rounds, but once Canelo figures him out and actually starts hitting Terence Crawford, in which Sanchez described as, quote, like a huge truck hitting him, it'll be game over for Terence Crawford. He explained that Crawford may not have the legs for someone like Canelo in the 168-pound division. Sanchez also added that if Canelo was eventually going to be Crawford's endgame, then Crawford should have jumped weight divisions a while back. Now, Crawford could have technically done that after the Spence fight. However, his once-a-year fight schedule prevented that from happening.
Reports are circulating that Terence Crawford may have picked up a shoulder problem in the middle of his preparations for the Canelo Alvarez fight. While no official confirmation has been given, the possibility alone has caused concern among analysts and fans. This development is especially troubling because Crawford's career has usually been paced carefully with only 1 or 2 fights per year. That rhythm allowed him to rest, recover, and enter the ring at full strength. The quick turnaround this time has not afforded him that luxury, meaning that any lingering discomfort could linger into fight night. A shoulder injury is not something that can be overlooked in boxing. Nearly every aspect of a fighter's craft, from throwing fast, accurate punches to blocking shots and controlling distance, relies on shoulder health. Even a slight strain could reduce Crawford's punching speed from his power shots, making it harder to gain respect from Canelo. Beyond the physical impact, such an injury could also weigh on him mentally, making him hesitant to fully commit during exchanges. Against a seasoned, heavy-handed opponent like Canelo Alvarez, any hesitation could prove costly. If the injury is real, Crawford faces an uphill battle. Entering the ring with anything less than full health against a fighter of Canelo's caliber leaves very little room for error. What was already seen as a risky challenge could become even more dangerous if Crawford cannot rely completely on his shoulders for speed, power, and defensive reflexes.
Solitary training camp and in every single solitary fight, a guy that is as old as Terence Crawford, 37, 38 years old, is going to have some type of injuries. They're going to have some type of old nagging type of stuff, especially a guy that works as ridiculously hard as Terence Crawford does. That is just a matter of time before wear and tear is going to start going and things are going to start popping off and going wrong, right? Also, you can tell that the reason that this is kind of consistent with Terence Crawford's fight schedule over the last several years, where he's been pretty much fighting one time a year. That one time a year is clearly giving him a lot of time to rest and recover from his injuries and gives his body time to heal up. And as a result, he's ready to go during fight time. So I wouldn't put too much on this. I would say though that if you're a gambling person, man, you should probably want to keep your money in your pocket for this particular fight, man, because this thing can absolutely positively go either way with between the two of these guys. Canelo Alvarez is an exceptional fighter, much bigger than Terence Crawford is, or been fighting at a much bigger weight class than Terence Crawford has been fighting at, and much more experienced at that level at 168 pounds. But Terence Crawford is just such a superb fighter and such an intelligent fighter in there that you can know that he's going to be coming there to fight, and he's got a significant chance to win that fight. Unless, of course, that injury is real. I mean, and it is significant and is preventing him from, really sitting down on his punches, because he's going to have to at a point in time with Canelo Alvarez is going to have to do something to get him up off of him.
Keith Thurman has weighed in with a realistic perspective on the upcoming showdown. He pointed out that Canelo Alvarez, despite not being undefeated, remains an extremely dangerous opponent. According to Thurman, every boxer has weaknesses, but that does not mean anyone can simply exploit them. He stressed that Canelo's experience, skill set, and resilience make him a fighter who cannot be underestimated. Losses in boxing do not always define a career, and in Canelo's case, they have only shaped him into a more complete competitor. Thurman emphasized that the idea of Canelo being beatable does not automatically guarantee Crawford's success, since Crawford must rise to a level he has never displayed before against someone of Canelo's size and pedigree.
An unbeatable fighter. That's fine. None of us are really unbeatable, right? But people got to understand this. Canelo Alvarez is not an unbeatable fighter. The question is, whoever he's fighting, we don't question what Canelo's going to do, right? We question what his opponents are going to do, right? It's not even really about Canelo. Canelo's going to show up as Canelo Alvarez, right? Ginger boy. So the question is, are you going to beat him? And are you going to beat him today? Like when fight night happens, is it you? And is it now? You ready to beat him now? He's not unbeatable. Maybe you can beat him. Probably going to do it. And are you going to do it now? You feel me? Because I thought Danny Jacobs was going to have a way better performance.
Danny actually performed well against Canelo, but he didn't take any chances. He was doing just enough to not get beaten.
And Canelo was feeling himself. Canelo had preparation. He had that head movement, moving his throat, this and that. He fought some flat-footed fighters. He got used to getting his head here and there, ducking down and then pulling out and spinning out, and little tactics. I've never seen somebody make Danny Jacobs miss so many punches. It was highly impressive. I did not expect that, because of the amateur pedigree growing up with Danny Jacobs. I know exactly what kind of New York fighter he is.
Recent footage of the face-off between Crawford and Canelo has attracted widespread attention. Surprisingly, Crawford appeared larger than expected, standing almost on equal terms with Canelo in terms of size. This is unusual because Canelo has traditionally been known for his strength and stocky build at higher weight classes. The visual impression of Crawford's size has raised questions about how effectively he has added mass. While some see this as a positive sign that Crawford has successfully bulked up, others argue that size alone does not equal strength or endurance. The key challenge lies in whether he can carry that extra weight naturally in the ring without slowing down. Looking bigger might help him intimidate, but the true test will be how his body responds over 12 rounds.
With that said, they're going to face off in an epic showdown. And the big talk, obviously, is the size difference, right? That Canelo Alvarez is much bigger than the smaller Terence Bud Crawford, who is essentially coming up from 147 in the mind of many. But really and truly, he's coming up from 154 because he actually had a fight at 154, a title opportunity, his only fight at 154 last August when he took on Israel Madrimov, okay? And he beat Israel Madrimov unanimous decision to become a 4-division champion. But as you see here in this photo, there's not a big size difference. And actually, obviously, we know Terence Crawford stands at 5'8", got a 74-inch arm reach. Canelo stands at 5'7" with a 70-inch arm reach. There's not a massive size difference at all whatsoever. Now, clearly, as you see, Terence Crawford clearly has on what looks like Balenciaga shoes, and we know they are extremely big shoes, and they make you slightly taller. And Canelo Alvarez has on flats. The thing here is, the more important thing is, not if Terence Crawford can take Canelo Alvarez's punches, it's not if Terence Crawford, is going to get bullied around the ring. The concern with the weight is how Terence Crawford carries it himself. Does he start to fatigue in the second half of the fight? Should he get to the second half of the fight?
With that said, they're going to face off in an epic showdown. And the big talk obviously is the size difference, right? That Canelo Alvarez is much bigger than the smaller Terence Bud Crawford, who is essentially coming up from 147 in the minds of many. But really and truly, he's coming up from 154 because he actually had a fight at 154, a titled opportunity, his only fight at 154 last August when he took on Israel Madrimov. Okay? And he beat Israel Madrimov, a unanimous decision to become a 4-division champion. But as you see here in this photo,
yeah, he can move a little bit, but yeah, he likes to come forward with that power. But you put him on his back foot, let me tell you similar too. Look, you know this guy named Usyk who put Fury on his back foot? Yeah, push the pace on him. Yeah, with volume, pace. Put Canelo on his back foot, Crawford. That's what you gotta do. You gotta put him on his back foot. Hell to the damn yeah. That's how you get it done, man. That's one aspect that you're gonna have to do. And hey, I would advise you to do it as early as damn possible. Do it as early as possible, because guess what? If you do that, you're going to get control right away of the judges, right? They're going to be looking at you. You're going to dictate the pace. You're going to dictate the flow of the fight. You got to have him react to you, not you reacting to him. That's how you gain control of the fight real quick, real soon. Get active with that jab. You don't necessarily have to come out in the southpaw stand. You can come out in the orthodox stand. You know, what's the punch that always hits Canelo all the time? Easy work, the jab. Triple G was able to land his jab over and over. Floyd Mayweather was able to land his jab over and over. B-Ball was able to land his jab over and over. You control him, you push him back, you walk forward. Anytime Canelo give you an inch going back, you take that inch going forward. That's how you're going to get this done. You're going to have to be brave, my man, Crawford. You're going to have to be brave. You're going to have to be on your P's and Q's when you're walking forward as well, because he will snap back. He will snap back with some left hook, right hands to the body, or looping right hands over the top, or even straight right hands. Sometimes he might even come with a two-piece combination. But you got to put him on his back foot as often as possible, man. with your how cerebral you are, with your face, with your movement, snapping that